eBay sellers. This is Suzanne A. Wells, your host, and you have landed on episode number 50 of eBay the Right Way. Today's date is March 2nd, 2022. And how is it March already? Well, my favorite thing is coming up. Springing forward on March 12th so that we have more hours of daylight. So the dark winter is almost behind us. Mallory Lindsley is my guest in this episode, and she talks about her journey selling her dad's gigantic beer can collection. So she has a lot of information to share about that specific product. I do want to recognize a couple of sellers who sent some testimonials. So real quickly, Sue McCamley, she said, "This is just a note to send you a big thank you for your 8-point plan to increase slumping sales. Last week, I was very discouraged with my sales numbers, which had been in decline since November of last year. But after listening again to your video and taking your recommended steps, I'm happy to report my sales this past week are up substantially. I've sold 12 items in just the past 7 days, including a $134.50 sale for a vintage Bakelite necklace that I paid $10 for on an online auction. There's been considerably more send offer to buyer opportunities. I raised all my promoted listings to the percentage you suggested, marked down many items I had for a long time, ended and sold similar listings, and utilized your suggestion of a clearance category. Thank you for your expert advice and support." Now, she sent that on February 17th, and then on March 1st, she sent an update. "I wanted to update you on my progress with using your 8-point plan for slumping sales. Since fall of 2021, my sales were down nearly 50% from the same time a year earlier. But I decided to take charge and follow your plan on February 9th. I'm so happy to report that my total sales for February were 35 items, including the $134 Bakelite necklace. Thank you so much for the expert advice. It certainly made a huge difference in my sales. It's comforting to know that you are only an email away and I have your premium library for so much additional information." So what she's talking about is a specific plan I put together, actionable steps to follow to get you out of a sales slump, and that is in the premium library. And then I received a really nice email from M.J. Stelfsky, and I hope I said that right. She said, "I want to thank you for doing these podcasts on Spotify. It's so much easier than having it on YouTube because then I can actually do my listings while listening to you. Thank you, Suzanne. You have no idea how much you have helped me over the past 3 years. Thank you for your teaching spirit." Thanks to everyone who sends in testimonials, and I will continue to do these shout outs on the podcast because I appreciate you letting me know that my information is helping you. And I'm rooting for all of you every day because there's no limit on success. We can all have it. Okay, let's get into the chat with Mallory.
Okay, listeners, today we have Mallory with us. And how are you doing this morning, Mallory?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm great. The sun is actually shining here in Georgia. It's been gray and dismal all week, so
Yeah.
that is a nice addition to this Saturday morning is to have some sun.
Yeah, the past couple of days down here in New Orleans have been cold and rainy, but we haven't really had a cold winter, but now it's cold and sunny. But of course, some of your listeners will probably laugh when I say what cold is. Oh, no, yeah, it's 37, so it's like really chilly here.
That
But
is chilly. Yeah,
yeah.
it was about that yesterday for the high here in
Yeah.
Georgia. And yeah, the people up north are laughing at us. The people in Wisconsin and Minnesota and Maine are like, that's like summer for us.
It will get up to 48, but that's still pretty chilly down here.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, spring is coming.
It is. It is. Spring is my favorite season.
Okay, so exactly where are you located?
I live in a suburb of Metairie outside of New Orleans, Louisiana.
Okay, so definitely a Southern girl.
Oh, yeah. Born and raised, been here my whole life.
And I don't always ask this, but you seem to be a little outside the age group that my audience is. So, what year were you born?
I was born in 1987, but I started selling on eBay technically in November, and I didn't know what I was doing. And you were the first podcast
You
I
mean
found.
November of 2021.
2021, yes.
Okay. So pretty recently, yeah.
Yes. And I didn't know what I was doing, and you were the first podcast that I found
Oh,
that
good.
sounded really nice. Nice and knowledgeable. And so I binged on your podcasts and YouTubes.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And then yeah, so I started, and it's really funny every time you talk about, usually people, are a different age demographic. I was like, it's all right, mom's that demographic. She helps me out a lot.
I know I have people from all age groups, but I do look at my analytics to see the demographics because that's helpful as a creator
Yeah.
to figure out what I'm going to talk about, what listeners and YouTube viewers are interested in. So from a marketing standpoint, and was my concentration in college. I have a business degree with concentration in marketing. So it's just natural for me to look at all the behind the scenes stuff. But anybody's welcome in my Facebook group, to watch my stuff. It's just some of it may not resonate with the younger crowd.
I did notice the past couple of people that you interviewed over the past, I guess, few months, because I started from podcast one and listened all the way through because I like to listen to them in order. Every time you had someone, 1987, there was like a Barbie's guy, there was someone who was a mom. I was like, yeah, 1987.
Okay, so that's like a magical year. Okay,
Yep.
so we always start with what got you started on eBay.
So, technically, I started my account in 2010, and it was to sell, I bought a dress from like a Lily Pulitzer sale that they have online, and I got it, and I really didn't like the material, and I don't think it fit me right. So I was like, oh, I'll just, there were no returns. And so I was like, oh, I guess I'll just sell this on eBay. And that was a racket. One, I didn't know what I was doing. Two, everyone was like, oh, you bought this for $89. Why are you trying to sell it for more? And I was like, oh, because there's fees and because I have it and you don't have it. And I don't need to sell it. And then I did the same thing. Like I bought a pair of shoes a couple years later at TJ Maxx, and I had lost the receipt. And I was like, oh, I'll just try to sell it on eBay. And that was another, it didn't do well with me. And then I didn't sell anything for almost I guess a decade. And then in 2010, we started doing some downsizing, and we stumbled upon the beer can collection that we have, and I was like, oh yeah, let's just look up some of these on eBay. And we looked up a couple, and it was like $5 here, $6 here. I was like, oh, well, you can make some money on this. You just have to buy boxes because that's probably like the worst part is like figuring out shipping. And then I stumbled upon from the beer can collection, there's these old beer cans called cone tops, and some of them are worth a lot of money. And the first beer can that I sold, because I did everything wrong. The first beer can I sold was $450 on eBay.
That's what you sold it for?
Yeah, the first beer can was $450. So I sold 3 beer cans that weekend, and then I just had like a complete panic, and that's when I found you. And I learned about calculated shipping and all of that because like I just saw like on eBay all these people are selling beer cans, but the shipping was $6. Like, oh, whatever, I'll put $6 too. Who cares? And I was like, how do I ship this for $6? It's like online. I guess some YouTubers are saying like, oh, use the priority mail, like the boxes. Like, it's cost $16 to send. And so like we figured it out. We went to Target, we got some really small boxes, and we were able to like ship within that $6 frame. So then I took a month off and I like binged on all of your podcasts and all of your YouTubes. And then I started listing more beer cans, and then I like kind of got the groove of it. And then every time I listen to a YouTube or a podcast, every now and then you'd mention the premium library, and I was like, it's only $20. Let's binge this too, because I really like Suzanne and the way you teach. And so yeah, that's kind of how my eBay journey started in November, and now I have sold 54 items since November.
Excellent.
We're taking a month off.
Well, let me just ask you for personal feedback for me. You said you like the way I teach. What is it that you like?
You're just normal. And I like watching the people who like go shopping at the garage sales and stuff, but I feel like you just speak to us very kindly, and you just kind of go through, this is what you do. Here's a mistake that may have happened. And you just kind of like, this is why you do global shipping. This is why you do calculated shipping. Shipping was the first one that I like binged on within like, I watched that real quick.
That's everybody. Every single person I've ever coached or helped that's getting into eBay, that's what either terrifies them, like I'm not gonna be able to do it right, or it's just too overwhelming. And I feel like if you can just break down the steps, and do you have the flow chart? Okay, yeah, I was like, they need a flow chart. Like if it's this, then do that. Or if it's this, then do this thing over here. It's just the thought process.
Yep.
But when you don't realize, it's like making a cake. You've got all the ingredients, but you got to put them together in order and do the right things to make it turn out right. So it's just steps. So I'm glad that helped you, because it was a challenge to figure out ways to explain everything, because you really need to go through all of that shipping stuff before you list anything, because you have to make your decisions as you're listing, like, how do I want to do this?
Yeah. And so I binged on all of the podcasts, and then I found your YouTube, or maybe on the podcast, you mentioned you also did YouTube, because the YouTube is an older channel. And so I started watching your old YouTubes, but then I started watching the $100 sales and all of that. And I was like, ooh, this is fun. It's like, I don't actually have to watch these people go shopping. I can just watch what these people actually bought and what it sold for, because that's what I'm interested in. Like, fun things people found around their house, because I have a lot of things around our house, or like fun things they found at thrift stores or yard sales, garage sales, and figuring out what the value is for that.
Okay, great. Yeah, I like to show the historical, like this actually sold, because if one person sold it, many people can sell it. It's been done. It's been tackled. So, and then you started posting your beer can stuff, that your sales. Now, you said you were downsizing your dad.
Yeah. So dad passed in 2008 and we have all
Oh,
of these beer cans. Oh, it's fine. We have all of these beer cans from his collection. And I remember like right when he passed, like, like you're just emotional and you don't know what to do. And I was 22 at the time. And so I was still in
wow.
college when all this was happening. And these guys were like, oh, his beer can collection's not worth anything. I'll give you $1,000 for all of it. And he is,
It's not worth anything, but I'll give you $1,000. That was like a big red flag.
well, and it's 11 bins of beer cans.
Wow.
So many. Uh, and so, and then I did, I sold my highest one to date through eBay has been 450. My other highest through like private sale has been 1,300 for one can.
Okay. Can you tell us about that particular one?
Yeah, so it's actually a super rare soda can. It's a Wright root beer cone top can. And it was a root beer company that was actually in New Orleans. Um, and this can is so beer can collectors are a rare breed. Soda can collectors are even more of a rare breed. And this can, it was so funny because when my dad passed, my mom saw the root beer can because I love root beer. I love Barks root beer, A&W root beer, Abita root beer, which is a local root beer here. And it was just like, that's my Coke of choice, or my root beer of choice. We call soda Coke down here.
Oh,
Everything's
yes.
Coke.
I'm in Atlanta, the home of Coca-Cola. Everything's a Coke.
Everything's a Coke.
We can identify where a person is from by what they call a soft drink. If it's a pop, if it's a soda. Yep. Oh yeah, you're from Minnesota. If you call it that. So yeah, everything's down here is a Coke. It could be Sprite, but it's a Coke.
It's a Coke. What kind of Coke do you want? Root beer.
Yeah, exactly.
So, mom actually, I guess it was like 2009 or 2010. She was like, "Hey, do you want this root beer can of dad's?" I was like, "I don't want that." And so she's like, "Okay, I'll just like put it back." And then, 10 years later, I'm trying to research it, and I found it was very hard to find information on it. I couldn't find anything about it on Worth Point. I couldn't really find anything on Google, and like I Googled for days and days and days. And then so finally when I was talking to him, who we did a private sale, and I was like, "Well, how much are you willing to pay?" Because I was going to list it for like $100 because I didn't know what I was doing. And he goes, "Well," and he gave me like a whole story, and he's like, I had to sell this can in 2017 and I sold it for $1,000. I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Oh goodness." And so I was like, "Okay, well, let me put you on hold." And I went to go talk to my mom.
You like kept your cool and you're like, "Yeah, hang on just a second."
Yeah, I need to have a conference. And so, because like we had seen like where we probably could have gotten more money, but like probably if I would have been doing it now, I would have asked for more. But I seen somewhere where it was like it could go for like $2,000 because it was so rare. I sent off the picture to somebody and he offered me like $300, and I was like, "I feel like you're lowballing me." And every time I send him cans, I feel like he's lowballing me. So then I had a conference with the family and we settled on $1,300 for one can.
Nice. Now, when you're negotiating, do you let them say the number first?
This for this one, yeah, I did. Mom wanted me to do 1,500, but I didn't want to like push my luck too much because there were some dents in the can. And she still teases me. She's like, "You missed out on $200." I'm like, "I made it over with all this other stuff we sold."
Well, and that's a great negotiating skill is don't ever be the first person to say a number.
Yeah.
Then, like you said, "Well, what will you give me for it?" And then they come back with, "Well, what do you want?" And you just don't say the number first. Let them do it because it might be higher than you offer.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
Because in my mind, like, I don't really need to sell any of this stuff, I could go bring it to the recycle center and recycle all this steel if I wanted to, because a lot of these cans are made out of steel, which would be like really bad because like people want these cans. And I know like the beer can, since the pandemic, a lot of, because it's mostly people like in their 50s and older who are collecting these cans, and so they kind of, a lot of people stopped traveling. They didn't have any can conventions, and so they went to like eBay and Facebook Marketplace to buy and sell cans. And then younger people like in their 30s, they're starting to get interested because like, you know, their dads or their grandparents did this, and so they want to buy some to either replace things that they've lost or somebody sold. And so it's starting to get, because like me as a 30-year-old in her 30s woman, I wouldn't buy beer cans, but some of these cans are cool. So I did keep like I think it's 8 or 9 cans I kept some for me and some for my sister. And it's mostly like the New Orleans cans, because like I don't have a tie to any like Wisconsin cans or anything like that, or Australian cans. So it's a lot of, you know, these breweries, you hear about them growing up here. And like some breweries have closed, some breweries have switched names. And so, yeah, I kept a lot of like 9 cans for me and my sister. And so I showed it, you know, I joined all kinds of Facebook groups and like message boards just to like learn more about these cans. And so I showed the guys, I'm like, these are the ones that I decided I'm going to keep for like my sister and I. They're like, oh man, you're keeping some great ones. I was like, well, yeah, that's the point.
Well, but you know that in the future, they're going to appreciate, you know, and if you ever have a financial need, you've got those to sell. Like it won't be hard to sell them because they are rare and they're valuable. And what better investment is there these days than a collectible that's going to appreciate over time? And they've been sitting there since what you said, 2008 was when your dad passed away.
So they've really been sitting there. My sister was born in 1983. My parents, I think, got married in 1981. And they were all on the walls because that's how a lot of people display them. So they're all on display. And my mom was pregnant with my older sister. And she was like, you know, we have to do something with these cans because I can just see the kids taking the cans off the wall, stomping on them, and wearing the cans as shoes.
Yeah, we did that as kids, didn't we? And they'd make this nice clanky sound when you walk on concrete.
And so my dad packaged up all the cans in 1983. So they really haven't been touched since 1983.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So almost 40 years now.
Yeah.
But they've just been, and this is what I talk about all the time. I'm sure you've heard me say this because it's just fascinating to me that the hundreds of millions of people in America, what do we have, like 350 million people? That counts everybody, no matter how old they are. But and all their homes and all the stuff that's just been pushed aside, put in the closet, like in the garage. And it's pristine because it's been in a Rubbermaid tub, or it's been preserved somehow because those people took care of it. And even if they didn't take care of it, you know, you can sell rusty beer cans if they're, you know, collectible enough. But, and this is what's happening is like you had these all this time, your family had these, and they just sat there. And there's just collectors out there whose mouths are watering like, oh, I want this can so bad. And you've got it, and it's just sitting there. And one day you might sell it, but that's just the way it works with these collectibles. You don't know what's been packed away in somebody's house for decades. And then they pull it out at a garage sale, or they put it in an estate sale, or it just gets donated. And so we will never run out of things to sell because just if you could go up in a plane over the United States and look down at all the houses and apartments and condos and wherever people live, all the stuff that's in there that we want to get our hands on. It's amazing to me.
Yeah. Well, because so like my house, I've been here my whole life. So we did flood during Katrina. So that was when I was 18 years old. So
Katrina was when you were 18.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
wow.
so,
It's been a long time then, hasn't it?
yeah, since 2005.
2006?
5.
2005. Okay, I
Yeah.
was close.
Yeah, you were. But so like I lost a lot of stuff from the flooding. I was in college, so I did have, clothes, and like I had all my Harry Potter first edition books. Those will never be sold.
Uh-huh.
But I, in my mind, because I was 18 and I was away at school in Alabama, so I didn't get to help that much. I thought for some reason I had all my toys under my bed or in my closet and stuff. But really, the other day, mom's like I was saying something like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to this estate sale. They have all these toys. I just want to go look at them." She goes, "No, like you have an estate sale in your attic." I was like, "No, like I lost all my toys." She's like, "No, you didn't. I packed them all up." I was like, "No, like I lost all these books. I lost all these toys." She's like, "No, like you lost the stuff that was in your room." But like, she's like, I have all of your stuff. And I was like, well, what did I lose? And like, so I lost like the stuffed animals like I liked. Like I had a popple and I was like, I found one on eBay. I was like, do I want to buy this? Like, I don't need a popple. This is silly. I have all these other things that I can.
What are you saying? Popple? P-O-P-P? What is that?
It's just a stuffed animal. It's like pink and purple, and it's kind of like a kangaroo. I think it was like $40 or $60 on eBay.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So the big one that I had, like, we have pictures from the storm where we had like all the stuff. We had to like take insurance pictures. I was like, oh yeah, look, there it is. But then when mom said, oh, I have all this stuff in the attic. So we went up, and all my Polly Pockets were there, like complete sets of Polly Pockets. I started selling those. I actually kept one. I kept one for myself, but I've only sold 2 so far because the prices are a little high, but somebody's willing to pay for it.
Well, you know that from your beer can experience.
Yeah. So like we went up there and like pulled down like all of the children's books that we have and pulled down like all of the stuffed animals that we have. And I was like, Suzanne has a whole course about plush. I need to brush up on it.
Oh, okay, good.
And then
so wait, did you learn anything in that course?
I did. I learned mostly I need to like clean them. Well, I mean, they're not dirty because like mom cleaned them, but like we're going to do a day where we're like refreshing them all up and clean them and wash them. But we're going to wait until it's like not chilly.
Right. Well, and I say every time I add a segment to that course, it's like many more to come because it is such a huge category. There's so much to learn and what to look for. And what's surprising is it's the things hiding in plain sight. Like I learn more about it all the time, like when I'm researching to do the course. And it's not always just the big jumbo sitting on top. It's these little things that if you didn't know, you might not take another look at them because they just look old and ratty. But when you look at the little tush tag and it's all faded and you could barely read it, and it's like, made in 1978. Oh, okay, let me look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, like we have some puffalumps, and like I don't even remember them, and I remember seeing on like one of your videos, and I think it's in the book that I don't have yet. I told my mom I want it for my birthday.
Oh, the BOLO book.
Yeah.
I don't know if those are in there or not. I think
or
they
maybe
are.
I think
Yeah, my daughter had those puffalumps. She had a doll and she had a chicken. And I found the chicken one day at Goodwill and sold that for, I think, $40. But now it's like, I know the stuff I had or my kids had, and they're 25 and 28 now. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what kids are doing today. I just pay attention to stuff that's already in my brain that I know or whatever I'm learning. But so back to your puffalump story.
Yeah. So we have like some that are like, I think we have like a Christmas mouse. And then she said we had like something kind of Easter. She's like, we need to get the puffalumps out. We need a list of because Easter's coming. I was like, well, let's do it. It's just so hard going up in the attic. I don't like going up there.
Well, it's kind of like that movie, The Skeleton Key, that took
Yeah.
place in New Orleans, and that attic was really creepy.
But my sister, whenever she's home, she's the one I make go in the attic, and then she'll bring the tote, like she'll push the totes down, and I'll take them down to the little ladder.
Yeah, so she's here. I'll give you $5 if you go up there and get a tub for me. Okay.
Yeah. But so like right now we are focusing on my dad's stuff. We're going through putting the stuff to the side that we want to keep. Because like I said, I have 11 totes of beer cans to go through, and you have to look up every single one. So some you can find very easily on Terapeak, which I learned from you.
Oh, great. I'm so glad you're using it. Yeah, it's a great tool because you can go back a year and it's free.
And but like sometimes there's just not cans on there.
Yeah, I mean, the more rare it is, the less you're going to see.
Yeah. Usually that's like my starting point, and then I'll like figure out, okay, if it's $100 in 2013, what's $100 back then equal to now? And then I'm like, okay, I like double it.
Right. Yeah. You have to come up with a starting point. So are you doing these valuable items on fixed price or auction?
Fixed price, because I don't like auction. They scare me too much. Because I had one beer can. It was it looks like a cone top, but it's a different type of beer can called a crown tater. And it was really pretty, but there was like a lot of damage. So this was one of the first 3 beer cans that I sold. And I was like, oh, like this one's kind of messed up. It looks like someone spray painted some silver to kind of fix it or whatever. So I put it on auction, and then I did a buy it now for 75. And I think I put like in a description like, have fun. This one has damage. And like this guy bought it like within an hour at $75. I was like, oh my goodness, I messed up.
Well, no, you don't know if he had an alert set up.
Yep.
So
And that's what I learned.
You can't beat yourself up because you list it with the best information you have at the time. And I don't know if a buyer would even tell you they had an alert set up if you asked them, but
Right.
I do that on things all the time. Like I'll be looking for, oh, I've got this pair of yoga pants I just love, and I want another one. And so I'll look on eBay and there aren't any at that moment. And so I'll set up an alert, and did that this week. The warm fleece lined yoga pants that are so comfortable. And I found exactly what I wanted because I had a saved search is basically what it's called. So just don't second guess yourself because, tomorrow it could be worth double for some unknown reason that's completely out of your control. That's the world of collectibles, is the prices go up and down. It's like the stock market. It depends on what's going on in the world, who might have recently died or some company that's out of business now, and all those factors that you just are beyond your control.
But it's really funny. So that guy has like, a very unique username, and then he uses that unique username on a beer message board that I joined. And so I like put 2 and 2 together, and he's like, oh, because like my username was the same on eBay and on the beer message board. He goes, oh, are you Mallory? And I was like, yeah, I am. He's like, oh yeah, I bought blah, blah, blah from you. So he's bought actually 2 or 3 cans from me at very good, between $75 to $150, all through eBay. And I believe he's in his like 50s from what I can gather from like our chats on the message board. And he's like, yeah, because of what you have to do with your dad's cans, I've had conversations with my kids on what to do with the cans, because it's like you don't know which ones are valuable, which ones mean something. If it meant a lot to like my dad, then I either want to like keep it or sell it for a lot.
And I think that's a great conversation collectors should have with their family is, nobody's promised tomorrow. Like if something happens to me, here's my wishes. Here's what I would like done with it. Of course, the survivors are going to do what they're going to do. But a lot of times, as you know, going through their personal items after they've died, you really want to rehome them in a way that would make that person happy. Like, this is what dad would want. And best you can, fulfilling that wish is not always possible, but that's what I see when I help people who have lost a loved one and they're just overwhelmed with all the stuff. And they really, in their heart, want to do what that person would have wanted.
Yeah. And like, we were really lucky because mom stayed in this house. And so we were able just to like not touch anything for over a decade. We're just like, we just don't feel like dealing with it.
Yeah,
and
you have to get to the point emotionally and mentally where you can tackle it. And sometimes the best thing is just to push it out of sight, out of mind. You know, you're dealing with the grief, and it's just one day it'll be okay and you'll be able to tackle it.
Well, for all of like 2020 and 2021 were really hard with the hurricanes, and we are just like over it. Like 2020, you know, whatever, there was this pandemic, you're stuck at home, and then like every 2 weeks starting August like 22nd, there was a threat of a hurricane hitting my area. And Louisiana was hit really hard in 2020, a little bit west of us. And so like that hurricane that hit Lake Charles, when it was first being projected, it was going to hit New Orleans. And that was, I think, a Cat 4 or a Cat 5. And like these Cat 4s and 5s aren't supposed to be hitting the Gulf as frequent as they are. And so we were just packing up all our stuff. Like I've booked and canceled like so many hotel rooms, just like get the hell out of Dodge. Ooh, excuse me, get out of Dodge.
No, you can say that. Say that
okay.
again.
Get the hell out of Dodge.
I mean, that's a feeling that people in coastal areas can relate to. It's like, no time to think, just get out.
Yeah, because like even, I guess it's like even the hurricane started like in 2019, my mom had her hip replaced, and we had to have her hip replaced like, you know, in a certain month just due to other like medical things. And so we picked, I believe it was June 20th, 2019. And we're like, okay, hurricane season, it starts like June 1st. Hurricane season just start, we're going to be fine. We had to evacuate my mom because the river was so high that they said the hurricane that was supposed to come in 2019 would have just like broken all the levees and like flooded New Orleans. And I was like, oh my God, my mom is on like just had her hip replaced. She's on 24/7 ice. Like I can't afford to be without electricity because like the pain and all of that. And she was on pain meds. It's like we had to evacuate my poor mom with her hip replaced. Like I think it was post like 10 days after surgery.
Oh my gosh.
And that's like not good. So like that stress from 2019, then all the stresses of 2020, and then we finally did get a hurricane in 2020 in October. I will say it was like kind of like a better hurricane because it was actually cold. Unlike all the other hurricanes, I think it was like 50 degrees outside.
So a better hurricane is one that's not going to cause as much damage, and it's colder outside. I guess.
Well, and it goes
not as strong. It's colder.
Yeah, not as strong. I think that was like a Cat 3, but it only lasted like 12 hours, and like that's the strongest hurricane I can remember staying for, because I was always like the kid who was like freaked out and would like make the parents leave.
We have to go. Just throw things in the car. Let's go.
Yeah. And so then this last one that happened in 2021, and that one was it was okay for my area. Like we did have some damages to my house, but nothing like the people who are a little further down south and a little bit more west from us. Like if that hurricane would have wobbled like 10 miles east, it would have been a much different story for the suburbs and New Orleans. But like, you know, I still have friends who still have like blue tarps on their roofs. We can't get people to get things fixed just because of like supply chain issues and labor issues and everything. Like I still have a fence. I think we're finally on the wait list and we might get the fence fixed in March. And it's going to cost like twice as much as when we got the fence put up. And it's just like a little section that we have to have fixed. But yeah, like after like all of that, we're ready to downsize and maybe move out of Louisiana, definitely out of this like bowl of New Orleans.
Right.
And like that's what really started with us. Cause you know, when you live in the same house and you're just like, oh, whatever, the stuff's there. It's just taking up space, but I have enough space. But when you think about each cubic foot you have to pay for someone to move, you're like, oh, I gotta start getting rid of some of this stuff.
Exactly. Right. You want to think, do I want to move that?
Hmm.
And how important is it to me to preserve that thing and move it to my next location? So
Yeah.
that's why downsizing, you always get rid of way more than you think you're going to, because it's that rule of touch it once. Like you pick it up. Okay, what do I want to do with it? Keep it, sell it, donate it, throw it in the trash.
Hmm.
And you just do that with every single thing. And after a while, you think, how did I get so much stuff?
Because you just don't get rid of it. You're just like, oh, just put it in the bin, throw it in the attic, and then
So, as far as your eBay inventory, are you going out finding things to sell, or are you just working on what your family already has?
so I went to Goodwill to just like kind of test it out, and I found some snow babies for 59 cents. And I used to collect snow babies.
Yeah, and are
Yeah.
they made by a certain company?
It's Department 56.
Okay, and so for the listeners, snow babies are little ceramic figurines. They their faces look like children, and they are usually white, and they have like a hood on and like a snow outfit. And I don't think they're just Christmas. I think it's all the time, and they're usually have some kind of glitter where they're very sparkly.
Hmm.
Okay.
So the three that I found were the version called Snow Bunnies.
Hmm.
But you can call them snow babies or snow bunnies. And they were newer ones than the ones that I had collected when I was younger. Because I had a bunch. I don't remember what happened. I don't remember if I like lost them after Katrina or if they like fell and broke or something. But I was like, okay, if I buy anything at the thrift store, because I just have so much stuff right now, I have to be okay with wanting to like keep it if it doesn't sell.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, 59 cents, that's not much. I did find like a Starbucks mug, a 2010 Starbucks mug that has sold now. I bought that for like $2 and it sold for 25. So that was exciting and fun. And then I was like, okay, now I'm gonna go through my collection and find all the Starbucks mugs I have that I don't want anymore and start
Mhm.
selling those.
Yeah. Okay. So you do go look for things, but you're very cautious about how much you buy.
Yeah, and I just there's just so much stuff that we have at home that now, especially since mom pulled out all the toys, I was like, oh, I don't need to buy anything right now. I like looking at estate sales online just because they're fun. And I did buy a set of Balik, um, you know, a creamer and a pitcher. Well, I bought it because I wanted the pitcher for myself. And I drove all the way to Biloxi, Mississippi, which is like an hour and a half. So it's like not that bad.
Right.
But then when I got there, they're like, "Oh, we're so sorry. The pitcher has like this huge giant crack in it." I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's the only thing I wanted."
The reason I
Um,
came.
and then so she's like, "Oh, I'll give it to you half price." I'm like, "Oh, you really don't have to do that. It's fine." And then it was like one of the ones like you had to text them when you arrived, and so I think she noticed that my phone number was a 504 and that I was in Mississippi and I came like from an hour and a half away. And then she texted me. She goes, "Yeah, I'm just gonna give you your $60 back." I was like, "You really don't have to do that." And she's like, "No, it's fine. Just shop with us next time." I was like, "Okay." And so now I have all this Balik, and I'm like, "Oh gosh."
What's that
I didn't
brand you're saying? Can you say that and spell
Balik.
it?
Yeah, Balik, Belleek. It's from Ireland.
Okay. That's a new one. I don't think
Uh,
I've ever heard of that.
yeah, it's like fine china porcelain. It's really cute. It's white with shamrocks on it.
Hmm.
Um, and so like mom has some stuff that came from Ireland. And then so I started learning about that. It's super old. Like there's different marks, of course. You know, there's a black mark on the bottom, and that's the oldest. All the stuff that I have is a green mark, which I think is from like the 1940s to 1960s, somewhere within that range. And then there's one piece that's like an everyday Balik. But I wanted the picture because I wanted to put it in our little china cabinet where we put like our cute little collectibles that we like. But of course, the picture was broken. So I did sell the top, and I should have sold it for more. I was really tired, and I was like, oh, I'll just list this for $10. And then I went to bed. I was like, yeah, I probably should have like looked on replacements like Suzanne said to do. And then I woke up and it sold. I was like, oh, good, it sold for $10, which I really didn't care because at the end of the day, I didn't pay for any of it because she reimbursed me. And then I looked at replacements. I was like, oh, I could have listed this for 100.
Oh, wow. Yeah, live and learn. Now you know.
I figured I made somebody's day, either a reseller or somebody, like maybe it was a collector their top was broken because my teapot was like shot.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So one day I'll buy one, but meh.
Do you go to a specific site to do the online estate sales, or is it just different companies in your area?
I just look at estatesales.net and estatesales.com.
Okay.
And then I like will figure out which ones are in this area, and then I'll go like to their Facebook pages. But I usually always find them on there. But I do work full time, so I really only have like Saturdays and Sundays to do this stuff. But usually I keep Saturdays and Sundays to taking pictures, doing, grocery shopping errands.
Right, all that personal stuff.
Yeah. So I think I probably do 10 to 12 hours a week.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And it's mostly on the weekends. Like sometimes it depends on like how I feel. Like I'll do like Saturday and Sunday, I'll probably do like 4 hours each day. After I do all my personal stuff, I'll get all that out the way. And then like after work, usually what happens is like I work like 8 to 5 and I work from home. So I can like step out and like run things off to the post office. That's no big deal. So usually like my day is like I'll work till 5 and then I'll work out and then we'll make dinner. And then like by that time it's like 8 o'clock. And so by like 8 o'clock, I usually take my bath like at 9:30 p.m. So I have like the hour and a half and I was like, okay, I can either look things up and start making drafts or I can take pictures. And I like doing the drafts because you don't have to be like perfect about the pictures. You don't have to like clean the stuff yet. And then I save like the pictures and the cleaning for like the weekend. So usually like I'll do the drafts, get all the pictures done. Because I know like drafts can delete after 30 days. So I don't keep them in there for
there's no rule on that. They can just drop off. So what you might want to do is use the scheduled folder.
Oh yeah, I do
and
that too.
Put those in there and just schedule them way out as far as it will go so they don't post. And then when you're ready, you just go in and send them out manually and you're not charged anything.
Yeah.
So that's just like a workaround.
I think it was a class that I took, or maybe it was in the Facebook group, but I remember in the Facebook, because I'm part of the Facebook group too. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you got charged 10 cents to schedule something. This is silly.
Yeah, but it doesn't charge you unless it automatically schedules, like if you're on vacation and you want it to go automatically or something. But I do have a video on YouTube about that, and probably in the premium library too, because I heard from so many people that were like, I had 30 drafts and I went in to list them to send them live and they're not there. And what happened? And what did I do? And do you have to have a store to save them? And all these questions. And it's like, there's really no set answer about why that happens. It just seems very random. It has nothing to do with how many you have or how long they've been in there. I've searched my entire eBay career to find that out. And there's just it's like a secret. It's like the eBay secret of the disappearing drafts. It's so mysterious why it happens.
So maybe, because usually what I do is I'll have them in drafts and I'll move it to the scheduled folder. So the
Mhm.
last day I can do it, but maybe I'll just take like a little snapshot with my phone because you can't put it in scheduled unless there's a photo, right?
I'm not sure. And I think the app is different than
Mhm.
on the desktop. Like I don't do a lot on the app other than check completeds when I'm out shopping or do offers, accept and send offers, stuff like that. I don't really list from my phone just because I'm a Gen Xer and I like a big screen.
I'm like a mixture. I like to sit like do like same with you, like send the offers, do some research. Um, but then I like start my draft on the computer because it's just easier.
Yeah.
Especially like if you have like I have a little template on all the beer cans.
And something you said earlier about taking pictures and cleaning stuff, I feel like working on your eBay, the different parts of it is a mood thing. Like you have to be
Yeah.
in the mood to take a bunch of pictures, or you have to be in the mood to sit there and list. Because I have certain goals every day, like do this many listings, end this many and restart them, all this kind of stuff. Get rid of stuff I've had for 2 years, take those listings down. And sometimes I just cannot be on the computer another second. Like I just go for a walk or,
Mhm.
you know, take a long bubble bath or something because it's just I can't force myself to do it every single day. I get tired of being on the computer. And I think
Yeah.
that's everybody. Like I know I need to list all these things and I just like today it's sunny here and I want to get outside and go for a hike and
Yeah.
enjoy the sun and not be tied to my computer. So I feel like you have to be in the mood to do all the different parts of it.
Yeah, I definitely right now I do use the scheduled but I do the I manually push them out and so my goal is to list 2 beer cans a day and then when I list the other stuff just whenever because I feel like as long as I list 2 beer cans a day, the beer can people will see their stuff. And then, it doesn't hurt to list more on other days, but usually it's like Friday or Saturday or Sunday when I'm like listing all of the other stuff. Like last night I listed 5 or 6 beer can trays. Um beer like it was really funny because I when I first saw them, I thought they were crawfish trays. So like down here when we eat crawfish and like you peel the heads and you put all the crawfish on a tray and you throw the heads and the bodies into the trash can.
Uh,
And mom's like, no, these are beer trays. Like back in the day, you would put like the bartender would put like all the beers on the tray and like bring it over to your table. It's like, oh, they're
oh, to
crawfish
serve
trays.
multiple cans of beer at a time or
Yeah.
glasses of beer too. Yeah, a little serving tray.
Yeah, and they're super cute. And there's a couple of those that we're keeping. Um, but like, my dad just had so much stuff that I was like, okay, we only need to keep like 9 of these. Okay, we only need to keep like 3 of these trays. And like, we picked the cutest ones because we're girls or females. So
So if you had to guess how many beer cans are in your dad's collection that are not listed, what would you say?
oh, not listed.
Yeah.
Hundreds, maybe. Oh, so I have 11 bins, and there's probably like 300 to 400 in each bin.
Oh,
Maybe thousands.
so you're set for a while.
Yeah. And some like aren't really worth that much. Like I sold one for $2 today, but like originally I was like, okay, I'm not gonna list anything unless it's like more than $10 because it's not worth it. But then I'm like, oh, but um, I if I sell more, maybe I can become a top seller and have like less fees or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you sell quantity and they're low price items, it's good for your metrics to have more sales. You get more feedback. You might move into top rated. Now, top rated plus is when you get the discount on your fees.
Okay.
But I feel like all transactions matter.
Mhm.
Obviously, you want to focus on the higher dollar things, but sometimes you'll take a low offer. Like last week, I took $15 offers on a couple things, and they left feedback, and it's a transaction and it counts. So it depends on who you ask. Sellers have their different methods of doing this, but I don't think you're wrong in listing the low dollar ones. And also, if it's a category you normally sell in, it's going to boost you in search to have more items in your specialty category.
Yeah. So like this can, I took pictures of it before I researched it, and I was like, oh, and so I listed it for like $250, and someone sent me a best offer for $2. It's like, oh yeah, please take it, please take it. You're paying $6. Actually, it's going to Canada, so you're probably paying more than $6 shipping. Because I do calculate it because of you,
right? Mm-hmm.
And I do eBay International Standard.
Yeah, the lower price one. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. It sounds like you got the shipping figured out then.
Yes. I for the beer trays, I couldn't list them until last night because I didn't want a Frankenbox. I wasn't ready for that. And so like my mom was like, Mallory, just like buy the boxes. It's fine. Like the boxes ended up being like $2 each. But you just put it in the price, and then if they negotiate, whatever. And so I got like they're 13-inch round, and so I got 14-inch boxes, and they're about 2 inches. So I got 3 inches, and I practiced with some bubble wrap last night. I'm like, okay, they're good. They're good to go. So I got 25 of those boxes, and I think we have about like 30 beer trays that we need to sell. But some of them we might want to keep some, or maybe by the time I get through the 25 boxes, I'll tackle a Frankenbox.
Yeah, it's once you do it, it's like, yeah, this is no big deal. And sometimes you just have to practice and make a few for the heck of it so that you feel comfortable doing it. It's just a lot of times, and I don't know if you saw the shipping videos in the premium library about how to alter the shape of a box and how to make it longer, and there's all these little tricks you can do.
Yeah. So, I guess that's more what I was talking about, because technically Frankenbox is when you tape them together.
Right, when you take two or more and make them a column or whatever you need to do to get that item to fit.
I had to do that, so I've done so many mistakes. So like I'm like the eBay girl, not what not to do. So
no, don't say that. You're just admitting it, because there's going to be listeners that are like, oh no, that's me. I'm the poster child for doing it wrong.
Like I got on the beer group and I was like, what size box do y'all use to like mail these things? And they told me 6x4x4. I was like, okay, it's perfect. But for some reason, I ordered 4x4x4, and I ordered 200 of them. Oh. So all my beer cans are Frankenboxed.
Oh, well, that happens. Just use them and move on.
So fun. Oh, so then we started going through like some of our like Disney collectibles, and they fit with all the bubble wrap and stuff. They fit perfectly in the 4x4s. And if it's like a super breakable, I also bought 6x6x6 because that fits 4 beer cans. In case because I get some people who want to do combined orders. So if I have something super breakable, I'll put it in the 4x4x4 bubble wrapped, and put it inside of the 6x6x6 bubble wrapped.
Yeah, I mean, you sound like you've got it down. One thing I wanted to talk about was you emailed me a question since you're a premium member, and I answered you, and I saw on your email a link to a business that you do. And of course I went to the link and I was like, this is so cute. So here's your chance to give a little plug for your blog.
Yeah. So I have a blog. It's a blog and an Instagram and all of that. It's called Plaid Shirt Yoga Pants. It is a travel website. We aren't traveling too much right now, but we're hoping with 2022 we'll be traveling more. It's just a mixture of being busy and the flights are all full, and maybe we're going to do a couple more road trips and all of that. But It's a travel blog that I started in 2017. And I started it because my mom had recently gotten ill, and we had a trip planned to Italy for a cruise. And we just didn't feel comfortable with going out of the country at the time. And so we canceled the cruise because it was within the window that you could cancel it. And we planned a huge national parks trips. I love going to national parks. I love going to small towns, and I love like nature. And so we actually found, we're like, oh gosh, what are we supposed to wear for national parks? I was like, oh, plaid shirts and yoga pants. Like that's what you have to wear, because it was in September. So it was shoulder season. So it was going to be a little chillier than when people usually go to like Yellowstone and whatnot. So we did a trip. We started off and like we saw Mount Rushmore. We went to Badlands National Park, Wind Cave National Park. It was like a 9 or 11 day trip. I can't remember right now. And so like my mom had a treatment like right before this trip. That's another reason why we didn't want to go out of the country. And so she's on a medicine that's a little similar to chemo. Like a chemo nurse has to administer it, and it's an all-day infusion. And so it really kind of wipes her out. But because of the way the vacation was planned with my sister, like we kind of like had to go on the trip. And so mom was tired the whole time, and she was like, I don't really remember going to Mount Rushmore. I was like, oh my gosh, mom, like we walked all over the places where she could walk and did all of this. So I started the blog then because I studied journalism and in college, and I wasn't really doing anything with my degree. Like I wrote for a magazine, but I started the blog because I wanted to put that very expensive degree to use.
Right.
And then on Instagram, it started becoming of like kind of a little bit of like a micro influencer. I hate that word.
I know. It's just like anybody can proclaim that they're an influencer. Like there's no certification. Just be one, like right now. Just go be one.
Yeah. So like I started doing a lot of New Orleans things. This was probably around like 2018, 2019, help promoting restaurants and events and items like that. And then I would do a couple of travel things too. So as a blog, Plaid Shirt Yoga Pants, it's the travel and lifestyle blog for the comfy life, basically, because Plaid Shirt Yoga Pants, it's not a uniform, but it's more of a lifestyle.
Yep. And I am celebrating that lifestyle right now because I wore a plaid shirt and yoga pants for this chat because I'm on board with that.
I love it. It's so comfortable, and like you can dress it up or you can dress it down. It's so easy to just like throw it on and go. And it was so funny because when I first started the blog, my cousin's husband was like, why is it called Plaid Shirt Yoga Pants? Like, what does it have to do with travel? And when he asked the question, like my cousin was literally wearing like a plaid shirt and yoga pants just because like that's what she was wearing. It's like, it's just such an easy thing to throw on, especially when you're on a plane. Like you want to look okay, like, a little bit dressed up, but you don't want to be like dressed up.
Right. Yeah. That's no fun. You got to be comfy. So anyway, I love it. I wanted to let you do a shout out on that. So check out Mallory's blog, Plaid Shirt and Yoga Pants. That is the end of the commercial. So, okay, well, we've covered a lot of ground here. The last thing I ask is, what kind of advice would you give to people out there either starting, struggling, or who want to sell beer cans?
So if you want to sell beer cans, take the time to definitely look up each one. I would definitely use like Suzanne's advice with looking it up at what's sold the past 90 days, what's sold for the past year. But do realize if you have like a rare can, you might need to go to other avenues like Worth Point, and some other websites. Like if you usually just Google it, it's fine. That Google lens really helps, kind of helps with search. And then beer cans, like any collectible, has so many variations. Like you can have a beer can that changed so many times. over a course of like 10 years. And it's just like a little variation. Like I have one beer can where everyone's like, ooh, white shoes, white shoes. I'm like, oh no, my shoes are black. I'm like, this is a different beer can. Is it more valuable or less valuable? And then kind of the order of what is valuable. Obviously, the older a can is, the more valuable it is. And that order kind of goes with a cone top is the oldest cans. And that's the one that Suzanne showed on her, what is it called? 100 Super Buys. So that's what kind of like a cone top looks like. And then from a cone top, it starts to go down to what a flat top is. And so these are all steel cans. And then after a flat top, that's when pull tabs started coming around. And those are starting to get less valuable. But those are still steel pull tabs. And so there is some value in there. And then once you get to aluminum cans, it's kind of just a wash. That's, you can look them up, but usually that's better just to bring to a scrap yard and get some money for that.
Right, yeah.
We had a lot of aluminum cans. And like if you're buying like a collector's, like say someone passed away and you're buying like a whole collection, like they would have a bunch of cans of the same. And that's like what they would do as trader cans. Cause, back in the day and now too, but, my dad did all this in the 70s. You would go to these can conventions and he would take his New Orleans cans that he would, trade with people. And we had a lot of those. And towards like, once we looked at the value, I'm like, hey, these just need to go to the scrapyard and get like some pennies on the pound for that.
Right. Yeah. Aluminum. Those are the ones you wear on your feet.
Yeah.
Because you can't really smash the steel ones. They're too thick and they're too hard. So the aluminums, they smash. Well, that's where the drunk guys smash them on their forehead. You know? You can't do that with a steel can. You can knock yourself out.
Yeah. And then just, even if you have a can and it looks like it's rusty or it has holes, just look it up because it could still be worth $50, $100. You never know. And basically price it high, put best offer on, and, go with what you're comfortable with.
Right. Okay. Well, you have been a wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on to the podcast and share your expertise.
Yeah.
And we will see you on the Facebook group with more beer can sales, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I need to go put my can that sold in February I always put over the 100 because those are the fun ones.
There you go.
I need to go do that today.
Yeah, post that sale so we can get it in the video.
Yes.
Okay, well, thanks again and have a great day. We'll see you on the group.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks again, Mallory, for coming on the podcast and sharing your knowledge of beer cans and everything else. And the sale that Mallory was referring to was on the cover of the January 17th, 2022 $100 supersize sales video. So you can check that out on YouTube. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in this week and every week. I'm going to end with a motivational quote from Napoleon Hill, who wrote the timeless classic, Think and Grow Rich. And really, every entrepreneur should read this book, and it's even on Audible and probably on YouTube as a free audiobook. So you can check that out if you have never read this book. The quote is, "Focus on the possibilities for success, not the potential for failure." So I will leave you with that. And I'll be back next week with another eBay seller chat. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.